For a growing number of Aussies, the cost of owning or even renting a home is totally out of reach. Now, a new way of living is gaining traction, and it could revolutionise everything we thought we knew about housing.
One of the ones I love to do is just mixed roast veggies and a yummy dal and rice and a salad, which is mostly homegrown.
It's Wednesday night in South Hobart and it's Deborah Wace's turn to cook. But she's not just cooking for her own family.
I think there's about 9 people coming tonight. It can vary between 5 and 25.
She's whipping up a feast for the 12 other households who live in her housing cooperative.
Here there are 11 houses on site and 2 houses off site. There's a common house with a commercial kitchen, with a Whole Foods co-op, with a laundry, with an office upstairs and a guest flat.
The co-op is owned by its members and there's strict criteria on who's allowed in. You must be in need of housing, have less than $35,000 in assets and you can't own another house. No one pays more than 30% of their income. Unlike traditional rentals, you can change the wall colours or plant a garden. And there's no risk of eviction. But there are certain responsibilities.
You could be on the Common House Committee. You could be on admin. You could be on finance. There are lots of ways that you can work out the 40-hour participation requirement per quarter.
When her marriage ended 13 years ago, Deborah spent half a decade couch surfing, staying with friends and navigating the rental market with her 2 kids. Then she found the co-op.
Living here has meant that I'm able to flourish in my professional life. I'm able to rent studios in the CBD and move my botanical art practice along and do what I'm here to do in this life.
Jennifer Goodluck had a 5-year-old and a baby on the way when her relationship broke down and she became homeless.
You know, I had all the odds stacked against me at that time. Then a really close friend of mine told me about this place. I came for an interview and then it was not long after that that I got confirmation that it was okay for me to live here.
Jennifer now has a 2-year-old, an 8-year-old and a new partner who's moved in too.
Moving here, having secure, affordable housing just made every aspect of life so much easier. The stress just almost instantly left my body.
Jennifer and Deborah are among just over 8,000 Aussies living in cooperative housing, which makes up only 0.3% of our total housing stock.
We've had the great Aussie dream of home ownership for a long time, but that's not the way it is now. We have to stop being so rigidly connected to the idea that there's simply private ownership, private rental or social housing. There are lots of other ways to do housing, and cooperative housing is a way that's tried and tested.
The concept is common in North America and Europe. 30% of Scandinavia's housing stock is cooperative. In Vienna, that jumps to 45%. In Manhattan, 74% of all apartment blocks are now owned by co-ops. While rules of entry may vary, all co-ops are owned by members. Entry is via a panel and everyone who lives there is expected to chip in with the running of the property.
We know that this type of housing is for all walks of life, and in some parts of the world, cooperative housing is part of the mainstream housing market and it's affordable rent.
Amid our worst housing crisis in history, the co-op model is gaining traction here too. Back in the South Hobart co-op, demand for a place has increased 18-fold in just 5 years.
I'd like to see this model rolled out in the hundreds. I know it's expensive to do initially, but actually what you find is that the community that lives there are really invested in making it work. They value it, they look after the buildings because it looks after them.
After living here for a period of time and seeing the difference that it has made in my life, I think that everyone should have the opportunity to have the kind of community support that is provided here.
That community support doesn't mean residents have to live in each other's pockets, but it does mean the option of a shared meal and a catch-up twice a week.
Rice, please?
Sure can. I really value the fact that I can come home, and I don't just come home to a house on a street, I come home to a community that I can lean into or not, depending on what I need. If I want to cook, I'll have company, that's for sure. It's a fantastic model. I am so proud to live here. I'm so proud to call it home.
We are live from the lands of the Cooler Nation, and when I think co-ops, I think Steve Price!
What's wrong with that?
The dal, probably, and the vegan food. But aside from that, look, I think...
When you're cooking, it could be stuff you like.
That looks really good, that one in Tasmania.
Looks
I'm
great,
not sure it's
doesn't
going to catch on all around the country.
Why not, though?
You and I could bunk together. It'd be great.
I wouldn't like that, Sam, quite
I think
clearly.
doing the opposite of selling it.
Yeah.
I think most people still want to have their own house in the backyard if they can. I know it's becoming increasingly difficult and all of that stuff. There's a certain type of person who that suits.
I don't know about... This is basically trying to create, in our modern world, a village.
Yes.
And villages are how human beings are meant to live.
You ever been to Nimbin?
No, I've been in Nimbin. There are other villages in the world. That's just how we used to live. And then we find it impossible because we're a nuclear family with kids and we can't do it all and all that. That's exactly how this is.
It solves a couple of problems,
Yes.
right? Not just the rental problem, but also, you know, that sense of community, childcare, look after each other's kids.
Totally.
We have a loneliness epidemic here in Australia.
There's one person on this desk who would not live in a commune.
It is.
I would so.
No, you would. I don't think you would.
I've got a pair of Birkenstocks.
That's what I mean.
Wow, fast track her application. She's got Birkenstocks.